much. I hope everybody hears me. Everybody looks fresh at the end of the day. So I have the honor to talk to you as the last keynote speaker today on a very, very important and dear topic to me, circularity or circular economy. As the MC already said, he read a very long list of things about me. Half of it I didn't really recognize, but nevertheless, that's me. I'm coming from Sarajevo, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and working for UNDP Bosnia and Herzegovina for quite some time, already for 13 years. I'm a sector leader for sustainable growth within the UNDP and mostly working on circularity and innovation ecosystems in the country. Today we saw or we heard very interesting speakers, very interesting topics, ideas about circularity. I started to work with circularity 7 years ago or 8 years ago rather, when it was not that popular, especially not in our region. Nevertheless, in the last, I would say, year and a half, it exploded dramatically throughout the region and also in Europe, mainly because EU started working more closely with circular economy, and now everything translates into circular economy. Today, you cannot really start any type of economic discussion without mentioning systemic change, sustainability, circular economy, innovation, etc. I would like to start with providing just a very brief global overview about the situation today. I call this story of the problem. As you know, we have a significant problem when it comes to poverty in the world. Some 700 million people are still living with less than $2 a day in this world. And it's evident that we see dramatic growth in wealth, but also dramatic growth in gap between the poor nations, poor country, poor people, and then the wealthy nations, wealthy country and wealthy people. 80% of humanity still lives on less than $10 a day. And this is really a significant number. And what's worrisome is that more and more middle-income countries like Bosnia and Herzegovina, like Serbia and other countries are contributing significantly to those numbers. The second problem that we have is disempowering of nature, social, economic, and political exclusion, resulting in really inefficiencies around the globe. And this creates a significant problems for the government to actually bring policies that are going to be inclusive and enabling transitory pathways to disable or structural inequalities. And the third one is really that more and more frequently we are facing all kinds of different crises, being climate crisis, food crisis, energy crisis, etc. And these crises are really interconnected, and it brings significant challenges to the world how to deal more effectively with those crises. So when we are combining those three, we can maybe talk about three challenges that we are trying to solve as a development agency. And challenge number one is how to eradicate poverty in its all forms and dimensions. The challenge number two is how to accelerate structural transformations for sustainable development. This is something that we talk mostly today about. And the challenge number three is how to build resilience to crises and shocks. What do we do about that? Last year, UNDP started to work more effectively or more systematically on circular economy. And we saw circular economy as not being singular project, not being one topic area, but really systemic shift in how we do business and how we actually support countries when it comes to the development agenda. Right now, we have about 12 different projects contributing to circular economy implementation in Bosnia and Herzegovina, covering or having a financial envelope of 58 million US dollars. And this is significant amount of money. When you see $58 million, you would say, okay, guys, you really have the funding, what are you doing? However, when you go a little bit deeper into those projects, you will see that the impact of those projects towards the systemic shift is very minimal or very limited. There are objective and subjective reasons for that. Why is this so? Because we are traditionally, as a development community, used to do everything according to the log frames, according to what donors want, according to some other objectives, etc., which not necessarily contribute to the overall agenda and overall shift within the system. And this is a problem. Throughout the day today, we heard from several speakers about how we are actually contributing, how we are linking different players, different stakeholders within the system, and how we can work jointly to actually achieve those results. And this is exactly what's needed. Not one country, not one single agency or one company can actually establish themselves as a circular economy or circular entity. So we were thinking about it, how we can actually change internally first, and then how we can bring that change to the communities, to the wider public, to actually the country itself, to the government, to the businesses. And we decided to actually go away from projects, go away from silo mentality, go away from thinking really in terms of economy, in terms of skills, in terms of environment, but really think about the problem and think about transformative change that we would like to engage in. And we started to build a portfolio. So many people think when we are talking about portfolio, what is portfolio? It's not a group of projects. And this is very, very significant distinction. So we are not talking about grouping different projects that have topical similarities like environment, but we are really trying to look systemically on the issues that we would like to solve, such as climate change, and then bring in everybody who is actually contributing to that same objective. And this is the portfolio. Usually, we are operating in complex adaptive systems, which means that we need to also have such understanding of solutions that are necessary to change those systems. They cannot be one predefined solutions, which is often the case. Aha, I have the idea, let's do that. But really, we need to think about social innovation. We need to think about adaptation to mindsets within different cultures, how we can actually change those things in order to enable the transformative process to take place. We are currently, for the last 5 months, building this circular economy portfolio in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's a very exciting process, actually, because it looks like when you take an onion and you are peeling different skins from it, and you really start questioning yourself, start questioning what did you do 10 years ago, you figure out, okay, this was really not efficient, adequate, etc. But at the end of the day, at the end of this process, you come to conclusion what needs to be done. And hopefully, very soon, we will have the portfolio which is going to be driven by three, actually, different changes that we would like to see in the country. This is just the illustration of the portfolio, how the journey phase is conducted, and where we are at right now. Right now, we are designing the portfolios, so we are not there yet. Those are our goals. This is what we are trying to do. So from extractive business models, we would like to have circular business models. And this, in order to establish that, we really need everybody on board. That's why I said earlier the question about who should take reins, who should be in charge, everybody and nobody. Because you cannot really have one singular entity, being ministry, agency, or anything like that, to govern portfolio. We will schedule, or we will set up the portfolio in a way that we will have a portfolio board, which will include certain institutions, but they will just making sure that whatever we do as a development community, including also the ministries, the government, the businesses, are geared towards these goals. So if we are not contributing to circular business models, we should not do it. It's waste of time, money, and everything else. So the governing board is there to actually steer the actions, the options that we have towards these objectives. And this is very important. The second change that we would like to have is to switch from consumers to agents of change for responsible lifestyle. We were talking, I don't know which panel, the discussion was about consumers and how to change behaviors. And this is crucially important. I think one of the key stakeholders that we identified is media. I never thought about it. And when you think what media actually can do and what they are, you know, what their role is, I think it's absolutely crucial to have media on board as a key stakeholder, because they can provide the information to the people, they can convince people to go into certain directions. At the end of the day, we are all consumers. Businesses are consumers as well. Government are consumers. So we need to change how we are seeing these needs, the needs of consumers, how they can actually become agents of change. And the third shift that we would like to have is from fragmented and carbon-intensive policy agenda to outcome-driven government. And this is not easy at all. Especially in the regions such as Balkans, where the governments or the different government parts are maybe not talking to each other. They are not really, they see each other as a competitors for some reasons. It's very difficult to actually bring people on board and ensure that they are talking to each other without actually pointing out to differences, but to see how those differences can actually be complementary to each other and how they can work together to solve some of the issues. So this is crucial part what we are trying to do in the next 3 to 5 years, and all programs that we are going to do are going to be geared towards these objectives. If it doesn't fit this purpose, it's not going to be done. Where is the problem? We'll talk tomorrow a little bit more about it during the panel discussion, but one of the issues is that the funding for development doesn't think in these terms. The funding or the donors are still linked to the log frames. They are still taking, okay, this worked in one country, let's just do a little bit of polishing and then apply for other country. It's not going to work. It just simply will not work, and that's why it's absolutely important that the donor communities and everything who is funding the development projects, they need to switch their own minds. They need to understand that you cannot have targets of let's reach 300 businesses and help them out. Maybe we'll reach 50, maybe we'll reach 1,000, I don't know. So the predefined solutions for existing problems will not actually work anymore. So we really need to bring innovation into the story and say, okay, let's explore. Let's talk to many different people. Let's talk to many different organizations and see how we can actually pilot something. If it's working, then scale up and then apply somewhere else. So this needs to be a process of the future. And I absolutely agree with Vedad about capacities. Capacities are something that we really need to work on. It's not there yet. It's not there in the businesses. I've seen it on many different occasions. Businesses don't know actually what needs to be done, how they need to implement sustainability measures, how they can actually apply circular business models to their business. It's difficult. And there are no ecosystems in place who can actually support the businesses. Something that we need to jointly work on. I'll leave you at the end with a quote from Achim Steiner, my boss, big boss. He said, we really can invest together in shifting the system that underpin development. And this is really the key. We need to really think in systems. We really need to think in systems, and this is the only way how we can actually implement circular economy, because circular economy is also a complex adaptive system, so there's no other way to actually implement it. We cannot talk about recycling if we are not talking about design. I didn't hear today many people talk about design, but we should start actually talking about designing things for circular economy and not designing recycling processes to actually uptake the products that are not designed in a circular economy way. So it's, we need to switch around a little bit. For the end of the day, I was trying to be short. Thank you so much for being here, staying here. We see each other tomorrow again. I don't know if somebody has questions, comments. I'll be happy to answer them.
Keep it short. Tomorrow we'll talk more about complex adaptive systems. And when we say that we need to shift our minds and thinking system, that's already a huge, particularly different way of thinking that we're now trapped or we're now used to for a long period of time. Analytical mind, systemic mind. So I would like maybe to dedicate some of the next workshops or the conferences about this topic, mind shifts to systems thinking. And maybe that's a nice connection between the first way that we opened about the mind shifts that need to happen and also with this way of thinking about systems. And complex adaptive systems is really it's about experiments that we mentioned. It's about learning, but learning by doing. And we're not simply used to. And I would like to dedicate more time with the whole audience to explore this topic even more.
Yeah. Fully agree. I mean, when we are talking about urban transformation, for example, globally, cars are driven 1 hour a day. So 23 hours a day, cars are parked somewhere. So imagine now that you are using Ubers all over the world, and you don't own the car. What's going to happen with the parking lots in the city? So from the urban planning purpose, this is completely shifting in mind how they will actually organize the city within itself or smaller community. And there are thousands of examples. So this is really something that people, I think, sometimes when they are talking about circular economy, they are not maybe thinking wide enough in terms of the implications and how they can actually include everything that needs to be included in solutions. So this is something maybe they are kind of going, for 1-2 steps, but not 10 steps that might be possible.
One comment from my experience, so I would like to have your thoughts about that. I'm agreed with the responsibility of the municipality of ecological ministry, but on our way to that point, we saw that people are very scared. If you are mentioning recycling or something with circular economy, they are very afraid. So we made a few case studies and that are really big books because everybody is scared about new technology. We are on the point that we are needing new technology to go to the point to be a circular. Yes, we know about how it was before and we learned it, everybody in school and in the ground school, but people are very afraid, and the municipality and the ministry in Bosnia and Herzegovina are afraid from new technology. So my opinion is that they should have it on one point on their agenda to have new companies who are doing that like we are discussing it here today.
Yes, I mean, every single change is hard. Nobody is kind of embracing changes, especially if they are something that they don't understand fully and they don't know how this is going to be done. It's not difficult. It's not easy. I know that. The point here is that we really need to collaborate on solutions that are going to fix some of the issues businesses, communities, at large, governments have. So this is the point. I think we have a whole library of strategies throughout the region. I mean, which are not implemented for various reasons because they are not really connected. You have a industry strategy, you will now have smart specialization strategy, you will have sustainability strategy, we will have circular economy strategy, and then you have a country development strategy, for example. Why? You don't need it. You need just one strategy. You can build circular economy elements into any development strategy, for example. So this is something that when ministries are talking to each other, they say, okay, this is really something we need to have this strategy. And they are not really thinking, okay, should I work with somebody else to actually link these things? It's a difficult process, I know, and it's going to take quite some time to do it. I mean, circular economy is not new. It's there for hundreds of thousands of years, or hundreds of years, so it's not new. But however, we need to really now connect the dots. I think what Mrs. Dunlop said this morning, this is the key issue that we are having. We are not connecting the dots. Sometimes we do have tools, sometimes we do have know-how and means how to do it, but we are just not connecting those three together. And this is something that we need to intensify in the next period and really start using it to our advantage. Yeah. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you very much. It was really my pleasure to be here and to talk about this. I was really happy to be invited and to have something like that organized in the region in Belgrade. Maybe we'll organize next one in Sarajevo. Why not? Since the project is regional. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow again on one of the, and have a good rest of the day.